She didn't mean to text the wrong number. She was shaking too hard, heartbroken, humiliated, barely breathing. As she stood outside her ex's apartment, watching him kiss another girl on the balcony. Her vision blurred. Her fingers trembled. She typed one long message, everything she never had the courage to say, and hit send. Except, she didn't send it to her ex. She sent it to him, the stranger who read every word, the stranger who replied in less than 5 seconds. Come over. I'll erase him from your mind. And that message was how her normal life ended. Don't scroll past this. Imagine walking away now, leaving her alone to face what's coming. Can you really do that? Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Tell us what time and where you're watching from. Don't let her face this story without you. 20 minutes earlier, Amina had watched her entire relationship shatter in one silent moment. Trey's hands were on another woman, someone she recognized from the lounge he swore he'd barely spoken to. And Amina stood frozen below them, her heart splitting clean in two. The cheapest heartbreak cliché imaginable, except it was happening to her. She drove home on autopilot, shaking so hard she could barely keep her hands on the wheel. Jada was already there, waiting on the couch with wine, a blanket, and the kind of expression best friends reserve for moments where murder seems like a reasonable option. What happened? Jada demanded. Then she saw Amina's face. Oh no. What did that idiot do? Amina collapsed beside her, burying her face in her hands as the truth spilled out. Jada cursed loudly enough to wake the neighbors, poured a reckless amount of wine into Amina's glass, and declared Trey a community menace who should be banned from dating. But Amina didn't feel anger yet, only humiliation so sharp it scraped her lungs. She grabbed her phone and typed before she could stop herself. We're done. You chose her. Don't contact me again. I'm tired of begging you to love me. She hit send, then tossed her phone like it burned. There, she whispered. I'm free. Jada raised a brow. Amina, honey, who did you send that to? Amina blinked. Trey, who else? Jada slowly turned the screen toward her. Amina's stomach dropped. One wrong digit? One. And the number she'd messaged wasn't Trey's. And someone had already replied. Wrong number, but I'm intrigued. Who chose who over you? Amina's breath caught. Oh my God, I just trauma dumped on a stranger. A smooth stranger, Jada corrected. Look at that punctuation. Look at that tone. Not helping. But Amina typed back anyway. Sorry, that wasn't meant for you. Please ignore. His reply came instantly. Why would I ignore the most interesting thing I've read all week? Tell me what happened. She shouldn't have. But something about him, the strange warmth, the unexpected concern, opened a door inside her. One message turned into 10. 10 turned into 20. He made her laugh through tears. He called Trey an idiot. He told her she deserved better. And then, have you eaten today? She hesitated, but answered truthfully. No. Give me your address. I'll send something. Jada's eyes widened. Amina, don't you dare. But Amina was already typing. Food arrived 30 minutes later. Her favorites. Exactly her favorites. A note was tucked under the container. Eat, hydrate, rest. Tomorrow you start remembering your worth. Ryan Amina's heart stuttered. Rian, the wrong number, the stranger who responded when she broke. And somewhere deep in her chest, something shifted. Amina didn't remember falling asleep. She only remembered the softness of a pillow damp with old tears, and the faint comfort of a stranger's name lingering in her mind. Rian. When she woke the next morning, her phone was already vibrating with messages. Morning. Did you eat? How's your head? Don't lie, I'll know. Despite everything, despite the heartbreak, the humiliation, a small smile tugged at her lips. Jada, sprawled beside her on the couch, groaned. If that's Trey, tell him to go step on Legos. It's not Trey, Amina murmured. Good. Block him before I do. Amina hadn't planned to. She wasn't ready. But Ryan's next message appeared as if he'd heard them. Block him. Keeping access to a man who hurt you is how you stay hurt. Her chest tightened. It was ridiculous, trusting a stranger. But she blocked Trey on everything, and it felt freeing. Jada blinked at the screen. Okay, mystery man has opinions. Before Amina could respond, another message arrived. Tonight, dinner, public place. Bring your friend if you want. No pressure. Just a meal with a stranger who enjoyed your company. Amina swallowed. Her pulse fluttered. Jada's eyebrows shot up. Oh, he's bold. I like him. They chose the safest possible option. A busy upscale restaurant downtown. Bright lights, plenty of people. Nothing that could turn into a scene from a crime documentary. Amina sent the details. Ryan replied in seconds. Wear something red. I have a feeling it suits you. A shiver ran down Amina's spine. She checked her private Instagram. No photos in red. He couldn't have known. Creepy or psychic? Jada whispered. Amina didn't know, but she wore the red dress anyway. They arrived 10 minutes early. Amina kept smoothing her dress, fingers trembling. Stop fidgeting, Jada said. Worst case, he's weird. We leave. Best case, he's hot. The door opened behind them. A presence entered before the man did. Amina turned. Ryan walked in like he owned the air around him. White shirt rolled to his elbows, tattoos trailing up one arm, expression calm but sharp enough to cut. His eyes found her instantly. The world narrowed. Red, he said softly, like a private acknowledgement. I was right. Amina forgot how to breathe. He was polite to the staff, kind to Jada, but his focus never left her. He watched her reactions, her hands, her nervous breaths, as though reading her with alarming accuracy. Dinner was electric, not romantic, charged. He asked thoughtful questions, listened closely, and never once made her feel foolish. Yet beneath every word was something darker, unspoken, coiled, dangerous. Halfway through dinner, Jada stiffened. Amina, look outside. Two huge men stood across the street, black shirts, hands folded. Ryan's men. Amina's stomach dipped. He wasn't normal. He wasn't safe. And somehow, she felt safer than she had in months. When dinner ended, Ryan walked her to the curb. His voice lowered, intimate despite the busy street. If you ever need anything, he said, eyes steady on hers, call me. Anything. Amina replayed Ryan's last words the entire ride home. If you ever need anything, call me. Anything. It echoed in her chest long after she'd changed clothes, washed her face, and tried, unsuccessfully, to sleep. She didn't understand why a stranger's voice felt safer than her own thoughts. But the comfort shattered at 2:17 a.m. A violent pounding rattled her apartment door. Amina, open up! Trey's voice, slurred, angry, desperate. Amina froze. Her heart leapt into her throat. Amina, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Jada stumbled out of the guest room, half asleep. What the? Oh, hell no. More pounding, harder. The door shook on its hinges. Please, Amina whispered. Not tonight. She grabbed her phone, fumbling to dial building security, but her fingers weren't cooperating. Her hands shook too violently. Another slam. Open the damn door. Jada steadied her. Call security, police, anyone. Amina wasn't thinking rationally. Fear short-circuited every logical thought. Her thumb moved on instinct, almost without her permission. She texted Ryan, "Can I ask you something?" The reply came before she lifted her head. "Where are you?" 3 words. Sharp, immediate, like a blade through panic. Amina swallowed, typing fast. "Home. Trey's here. He's drunk. He won't leave." The typing indicator on his end flashed once, then disappeared. 10 minutes later, exactly 10. The hallway outside went eerily silent. The pounding stopped. Trey stopped yelling. Jada peeked through the peephole. "Amina, he's gone." Just gone. No footsteps, no elevator sound, nothing. Amina pressed trembling hands to her mouth. What happened?" Her phone buzzed. "You're safe now." Jada's eyes widened. He didn't. Amina stared at the message, heart hammering. A chill ran up her spine. Rian hadn't asked questions, hadn't told her to call police, hadn't hesitated, just acted. Quietly, efficiently, like someone who'd done this before. Amina sank onto the couch, shaken, but relieved in a way that scared her. "I know that look," Jada murmured. "Girl, don't do this. He's trouble. Beautiful trouble, but still trouble." Amina couldn't argue. She knew she should be horrified, disturbed, running the other way. But all she could think of was the way Ryan's voice had sounded at dinner. Calm, sure, protective. Like he'd already made space for her in his world. She hugged her knees to her chest, whispering truth she hadn't meant to say aloud. "Jada? Yeah? I want to see him again." Jada sighed, long and knowing. "Of course you do." And somewhere in the city, Amina imagined Ryan putting away his phone with the same quiet certainty he'd shown all night. As if her wanting him was something he had expected all along. Amina didn't text him first. She meant to wait. She meant to sleep. She meant to let whatever this thing was fade before it swallowed her whole. But by noon the next day, her thoughts were circling him like a gravitational pull she couldn't break. The memory of Trey disappearing from her hallway, the silence, the precision, felt unreal, terrifying, comforting. She finally typed, "Can we talk? In person?" Rian's reply came instantly, almost like he'd been waiting with the phone in his hand. "Come to the address I sent before. I'll be in the hallway." Amina's stomach flipped. A hallway? Jada's eyes nearly popped out of her skull when Amina said she was going. "Amina, you're meeting a stranger in a hallway? Do you want to get kidnapped professionally?" But Amina already knew she was going. Already grabbing her keys, already crossing the line between common sense and whatever dark, magnetic force Ryan exuded. The luxury high-rise was even more intimidating in daylight. Glass, steel, and silence. A place built for people who didn't need to explain their power. The elevator ride felt endless. When it finally opened, her breath hitched. The hallway was dim, long, quiet. 2 men stood at the far end. Huge, broad-shouldered, dressed in black. The same men from outside the restaurant. Their attention snapped to her the moment she stepped out. But neither moved. Amina swallowed, forcing herself to walk. Halfway down the hall, movement caught her eye. Ryan stepped out from a shadowed corner, leaning against the wall like he'd been carved into the moment. White shirt rolled to his elbows. Tattoos visible. Eyes locked on her with unblinking intensity. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply watched her approach, like watching her was the point. Amina's pulse tripped. "You said we should talk." "I did." His voice was low, calm, too controlled. Then he straightened, stepping closer. "You shouldn't walk alone at night." "It's daytime," she whispered. "It doesn't matter." His gaze swept over her, checking, assessing, claiming. Let me protect you. Something in her chest tightened. She didn't know whether to step back or closer. That's not normal, she said softly. A faint smirk ghosted across his lips. Neither am I. He moved slow, deliberate, until he was close enough that she felt the warmth of him. Close enough that she could see the ink trailing up his hand. Symbols, initials, marks of someone who lived in a world she didn't understand. You're scared, he murmured, brushing a knuckle along her jaw. Amina shivered. Should I be? His eyes were fire and ice at once. Only if you plan on running. The two bodyguards hadn't moved. They watched with a soldier's discipline, giving space but making it very clear. This man was important, untouchable. Rian turned, opening the door beside them. Come inside, he said quietly. I won't hurt you. A beat. Unless you ask me to. Amina's breath caught. She stepped forward, into the doorway, into his world, into whatever this was becoming. And the door closed behind her. Amina had expected cold marble, sharp metal, and the sterile emptiness of a man who lived alone. Instead, Ryan's penthouse felt warm. Floor-to-ceiling windows opened the entire space to the glittering city skyline. Soft amber lights glowed against dark wood. A low hum of expensive silence filled the air. It didn't feel like a bachelor pad. It felt curated, controlled, like everything here existed because Ryan allowed it to. He closed the door behind her, his presence shifting the room's gravity. Sit, he said gently. The command shouldn't have soothed her, but it did. Amina sat on a velvet couch overlooking the city while Ryan moved through the kitchen with quiet precision. No wine, no whiskey. Instead, tea. He handed her a steaming cup and took the seat across from her, posture relaxed, but eyes sharp. You didn't drink enough water yesterday, he said. Amina blinked. How would you know that? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. She felt watched, but not in a way that frightened her, in a way that made her chest ache. She sipped the tea. Calming, floral, her favorite blend. You did it again, she whispered. How do you know these things? My favorite food. Now my favorite tea. He hesitated, only for a heartbeat. Background noise, he said smoothly. You'd be surprised what people leave online. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth. Amina set the cup down slowly. Ryan, did you look me up? His gaze held hers, steady, unashamed. Of course. Her breath stuttered. Why? Because you sent me a message full of pain, and because I wanted to understand the woman behind it. The room tightened around that confession. Ryan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Your ex hurt you. He doesn't deserve space in your head. I can take him out of it. How? She whispered. Ryan's expression didn't change, emotionally or otherwise. The air snapped. Amina's stomach dropped. Ryan, are you some kind of criminal? His eyes softened. Amina, tell me. He didn't look away. He didn't lie, but he didn't give her the truth either. I solve problems. I make threats disappear. That's all you need to know. Her pulse hammered. Every instinct screamed danger, red flags waving violently. But beneath the danger was something else. Vulnerability. Something cracked inside him when he looked at her, like he wasn't used to letting anyone this close. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. I know, he said quietly. And yet, you are. Silence pressed between them, heavy, electric. He stood, giving her space, giving her an exit. Amina walked to the door with unsteady legs, her heart dragging behind her. Amina, he said softly. She stopped. His voice dropped to something dark, dangerous, and devastatingly sincere. If he ever comes near you again, I won't be merciful. The elevator doors closed on the shiver that ran down her spine. Amina spent the next 2 days pretending her life was normal, pretending she wasn't thinking about Ryan, pretending she hadn't felt the brush of his fingers on her jaw hours after leaving his penthouse, pretending she wasn't replaying his last words on a loop. If he ever comes near you again, I won't be merciful. She didn't have long to pretend. On the third night, the pounding started again. Violent, furious, the sound of someone trying to break the door off its hinges. Amina, I know you're in there. Open up. Trey's voice barreled through the apartment, slurred with rage. We're not done. You don't get to just block me. Amina's stomach twisted. Jada wasn't home tonight. She was alone. Another slam shook the frame. You think you're better than me now? Huh? Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone. She pressed record and held it toward the door. You're going to regret this, Amina. I swear to. He lunged at the door again, a fist cracking painfully against it. She sent the recording to one person. Ryan. The response came instantly. Stay inside. Don't speak to him. I'm coming. The knocking stopped abruptly. The hallway fell silent. Then she heard footsteps. Several pairs, measured, heavy. Nothing like Trey's staggering movements. The doorbell chimed once. Amina, Ryan's voice said from the other side of the door. Calm. Too calm. Open it. She cracked the door and nearly stumbled back. Ryan stood there flanked by the same 2 bodyguards from the apartment hallway. His eyes were cold steel, his jaw set in something far more dangerous than anger. Amina's breath caught. He's still here. We know. Ryan turned his head slightly. Bring him. Trey was yanked into view, arms restrained, face flushed with alcohol and panic. Amina, he gasped. Tell them to let go of me. These psychos grabbed me. Ryan didn't look at him. Not once. He looked only at her. You asked what I do, he said quietly. This is it. Ryan, she whispered, heart pounding. What are you doing to him? What you were too kind to do. Trey's plea was cut off as the bodyguards dragged him further down the hallway, out of sight. Amina pressed a hand over her mouth, horrified, relieved. Both emotions tangled in her chest like barbed wire. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Your ex wasn't simply drunk. He's tied to a loan shark network that's been circling your neighborhood for months. His jaw flexed. People he owes money to know your name, your address. You were already in danger long before you texted me. Amina's blood ran cold. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, he murmured. He didn't care enough to tell you. She felt the ground tilt beneath her. Everything she thought she knew crumbled. Ryan lifted her chin gently. I'll end it, all of it. And for the first time in days, she exhaled. Hours later, wrapped in a soft blanket on Ryan's penthouse couch, exhaustion finally dragged her under. As she fell asleep, one truth settled deep in her bones. She was safer in the home of a dangerous man than in her own. And that terrified her, almost as much as it comforted her. Amina sat on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling, phone still buzzing from Trey's last unhinged voicemail. Ryan stood across from her, completely still, watching her with that unreadable intensity that always made her heart skip. Amina, he said quietly, there's something you need to understand before we go any further. She lifted her gaze. He stepped closer, slow, controlled, the kind of walk that came from years of calculated power. I'm not just some businessman who happened to help you tonight." His voice lowered. "I'm the successor to one of Korea's most powerful crime syndicates." Her breath caught. "I was raised for this," he went on. "Strategic, ruthless, respected. Every move I make is watched by enemies who would love to see me fall. I live in a world where hesitation gets people killed." Amina swallowed. "So, when you showed up tonight, it wasn't luck?" He finished for her. "I was already tracking Trey's movements." Her head snapped up. "Tracking? Amina." He knelt in front of her, taking her shaking hands gently in his. "I didn't expect to care for you. I didn't plan it. But the moment you called me, I knew I wasn't letting anything happen to you." Warmth spread through her chest. Unexpected, terrifying. Their foreheads touched, soft and intimate, no space between their breaths. His hands were warm around hers, steadying her in a way she hadn't felt in years. "You're lonely," he murmured. "Not the loud kind. The kind you hide. I know that loneliness. I've lived in it my whole life." Amina closed her eyes, feeling him. His calm, his danger, his strange, devastating tenderness. Ryan exhaled, brushing his thumb over her knuckles. "Trey has gotten involved with a rival group. Dangerous idiots who think they can take a piece of my world." He paused. "He's being used." Her eyes flew open. "Used? By who?" "I'll handle that," he said smoothly. "But you need to understand something." She hesitated. "What?" Ryan looked straight into her soul. "Are you asking me to kill him?" The room froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The question hit her chest like fire, heavy, impossible. And then she broke. Tears spilled, shaking her entire body. Fear, exhaustion, heartbreak, everything poured out at once. She covered her face, choking on sobs she'd held in too long. Instantly, Ryan pulled her into him, not with force, with gentleness. His hand cradled the back of her head. His other arm wrapped around her waist, warm and steady as she cried into his shoulder. "It's okay," he whispered. "Let it out. I've got you." She sagged against him, breath hitching, the world finally going quiet as the storm inside her ran dry. Minutes later, she slipped into sleep, still held securely in his arms. Ryan looked down at her, brushing a curl from her cheek. His voice was a whisper meant for no one but the shadows. "You're mine now," he murmured. "I just have to make you see it." The morning light slanted harshly through the blinds, cutting across the room where Amina still lingered in a haze of dreams and reality. Jada's voice broke through before she could even open her eyes. "This man is not normal," Jada said, tone sharp, eyes searching. "He's dangerous, Amina. You can't just walk into that world thinking you'll be safe." Amina sat up, heart pounding. She wanted to argue, but the words that came out were softer, almost surprising even herself. "I feel safe with him, Jada. Safer than I ever have with anyone else." Her friend's expression tightened, torn between warning and worry. "Safe?" "Yes," Amina whispered. "Even though he terrifies me. Even though he's not like anyone I've ever known." The tension in her chest exploded with a sudden news alert. Trey had been found, critically injured, and taken to the hospital. Fear and anger collided inside her. She grabbed her coat, ignoring Jada's protests, and stormed out. She needed answers. She needed the truth. Rian was waiting, as if he had been expecting her, his calm presence filling the room like a dangerous lullaby. "You found out," he said quietly. "You lied to me." Amina's voice cracked, fury bleeding through. "Tell me everything, now." He didn't flinch. Instead, he told her, with cold, deliberate honesty, every detail of Trey's involvement with the rival group, The threats he had neutralized, the chaos he navigated daily. No embellishments, no excuses, just truth. Her hands trembled. "You're obsessed with me," she accused, the words tasting like fear and something darker, something electric. "Yes," Ryan admitted, voice steady, eyes locking on hers. "But I will never harm you, only protect you." The words hung between them, charged. Fear, desire, and moral conflict twisted inside her. She could walk away, escape this darkness, live in safety. But every instinct told her she couldn't. Every pulse of her heart argued to stay. Ryan stepped closer, his shadow enveloping her like a shield. "If you leave, I won't stop you," he said quietly, almost gentle. "If you stay, you become the woman I protect with my life." Her chest ached with the weight of choice. One step away, and she could breathe, escape the violence, the secrets. One step closer, and she would surrender herself fully to a man whose world terrified her and thrilled her simultaneously. Her lips parted, the air thick with confession. Her hands reached instinctively for his, the warmth of his touch anchoring her. She hesitated, voice trembling yet resolute. "I don't want to leave." Ryan's eyes softened, but the danger lurking behind them never fully disappeared. A faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at his lips, and he pressed his forehead to hers, sealing her choice. In that moment, she stepped into his world. Fully, irrevocably, willingly. The city pulsed below them as Ryan's men neutralized the last threats. Trey had been dealt with, hospitalized, contained, his alliance with the rival group dismantled. Every move was precise, surgical, leaving no loose ends. Amina watched, her chest tight, heart pounding, yet strangely calm. She had chosen this life, chosen him, and now she had to accept its consequences. "You won't see them again," Ryan murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His calm, controlled voice belied the storm he could unleash in seconds. Amina nodded, swallowing fear and uncertainty. I know love comes with risk," she admitted, her voice soft. "And I'm ready to take it." He took her hand, guiding her out of the safe house and onto the private rooftop overlooking the city lights that stretched endlessly into the night. The wind tugged at her hair, and for a moment, the world felt suspended between danger and exhilaration. "You feel safe with me," she whispered, the words trembling yet resolute. Ryan's gaze softened, vulnerability flickering for just a moment. "I don't know how to love gently," he confessed. "I only know how to love fiercely. And you deserve that." Her breath caught, heart hammering. The distance between them collapsed as he stepped closer. Their lips met in a slow, consuming kiss, inevitable, fiery, the culmination of weeks of fear, longing, and trust. Every hesitation melted away, leaving only the heat of connection, the pulse of shared vulnerability. When they finally parted, he held her face in his hands, eyes dark and intense. "I'll erase anyone who hurts you," he promised, voice low and unwavering. "But I'll never erase your choices. You decide, always." Amina's hands clutched his jacket, trembling but resolute. "I choose you," she whispered. And in that choice, she surrendered fully. Not to the danger, but to the man who had claimed her heart. Ryan's lips curved into a rare, almost tender smile. "Then you're mine," he said, not as a threat, but as a declaration. Officially. He guided her back inside, down the hallway, where the first moments of tension and curiosity had sparked between them. The guards bowed respectfully as she passed, a silent acknowledgement of her place beside him. Every step felt symbolic, a passage into a world she had feared and desired in equal measure. They reached the end of the hall, Rain's hand resting lightly at her back, protective, possessive, yet reverent. Amina breathed in the weight of it, the danger and the devotion intertwined. She realized then, with a shiver of astonishment and wonder, that the wrong number, the chance encounter that had shattered her routine and set her life spinning, wasn't wrong at all. It was fate. And fate, she decided with a smile that trembled with excitement and fear, had a dangerous sense of humor.